The Heavenly Demon. Can't Live a Normal Life. By Sanchin. Chapter 149. Greedy Collector. Part 1. Marquis Valentino had a frustrating day last month. At first, he was convinced that the master blacksmith of Dmitri, Hendrik, made blaze. No one else in the Northeast could ever make such a sword. So, as soon as he got the bid for the auction, he sent someone to Dmitri, but he found out his guess was wrong. I haven't put a sword on the auction house lately. If Hendrik made blaze, it would be a masterpiece of a lifetime. Hendrik was excluded from the list because he would have known about his art being sold at an auction house. From then on, Marquis Valentino's obsession began, and he used all of his connections and financial resources to visit all of the artisans in the Cairo kingdom in order to find out who owned blaze. Not me. No one in Cairo can make a sword like this. A sword that accepts mana. Without a doubt, it is a skill that cannot be found even if you search the entire continent. The answers that came back made it harder to find the owner. In reality, he had no reason to find out who owned blaze. It was greed that stemmed from pure curiosity, and he thought that once he found the owner, he would be happy as a collector. Was that why? As time went on, his frustration kept growing. The sword was made in Cairo, but the identity of the person couldn't be discovered. And Lucas completely erased all his tracks. He simply guessed Hendrik made it because Dmitri was the best blacksmith, but there were no clues. But just a few days ago, Marquis Valentino heard good news from his subordinate. I heard from someone who met Dmitri's master blacksmith a few days ago. He said that he saw a blade similar to blaze in the collection. I am not sure if it was a sword made by the same person, but the sword there, which Hendrik boasted about, showed the ability to absorb mana like blaze. Marquis, what do we do? The same ability as blaze. The justification was enough for him, so he got up, dressed, and got into a carriage. To Dmitri right now. A few days after that, Marquis Valentino appeared in Dmitri. Dmitri's master blacksmith. Hendrik wasn't an easy person to meet. However, if it was someone like Marquis Valentino, then even Hendrik would move. What did you come here for? It was a modest office. It was not a place he would normally visit, but he couldn't help it because of his purpose. Hendrik was on the opposite side. Marquis Valentino said, I will get straight to the point. A month ago, at the Adelian auction house, I won the bid for a sword called Blaze. As you might know, I am a collector, and unlike Master Hendrik, I didn't deal with metal all my life, but I think I have an eye to see how valuable it is. Blaze is a treasure, and seeing the sword that perfectly accepts mana, I was convinced that the craftsman who made it was the best in Cairo. He gave a signal. Then the knight who was waiting behind him came to present something wrapped in a cloth. Swish. This is Blaze. Inside the cloth was a sword. Smooth. Hendrik was surprised when he saw it. As I thought. Hendrik's reaction. It wasn't the kind of sword he would admire. He was aware of the sword in the first place, but he was surprised that it was in the hands of Marquis Valentino. It was as Marquis Valentino had expected. He lived as a collector and met many artisans in his life, and he was sure that no one in Cairo could make such a sword other than Hendrik. To be honest, he doubted Hendrik's ability too, but he still hasn't ruled him out yet. And now, Hendrik was shocked. Hendrik had some clues about this sword. So you realize the value of this sword. A few days ago, I heard from my subordinate that there is a sword similar to this in your collection. That is the purpose of my visit here. By any chance, can you show me the sword? His voice was a bit excited. If the report weren't wrong, Marquis Valentino would finally get the right answer, the owner of the sword. Or did he know the owner of the sword? Hendrik's sword was proof of something. Ahem. Hendrik was troubled. Marquis Valentino. He heard rumors about this man. It was his first time meeting him in person, but he knew about the avid collector because he often bought items from Dmitri's blacksmith. He was a person who could be called a VVIP when making transactions. Some described him as an avid collector, but no artisan thought badly of him. He is famous for giving valuable things and also giving good treatment. The competition among collectors could turn evil. He never used evil tricks or methods to take the possessions he wanted, but he was devoted to the makers. And Hendrik could tell from how he was being treated. If Hendrik were to sell his treasured possessions to anyone, Marquis Valentino would be a suitable buyer for them. And he meant that because this person recognizes the value of a sword. Actually, Hendrik had been waiting for this moment. He wanted to show off the gift he received, and finally, someone who recognized its value arrived. A chance. Anticipation had already risen within him, but he tried to maintain a calm voice without displaying too many expressions on his face. Please wait a moment. I will show you the sword. At those words, Marquis Valentino's face brightened as if he had conquered the world. Tack. He laid down the sword. Its smooth form caught Marquis Valentino's eyes, and he checked it in excitement. I am sure. It was made by the same person who made Blaze. He hadn't checked its abilities yet. He still had a few things to check, even on items like this. Hendrik's sword looked a lot like Blaze, and the way the light shone splendidly on the blade of the sword made his heart feel cold. Now, he was sure of it. Even without infusing mana into the sword, he was convinced that this was made by the same person. Hendrik said. The name of the sword is Salamander. As Marquis Valentino seems to be aware, Salamander and Blaze were created by the same person. To be precise, Salamander was the first result, and Blaze came after that. At that moment, Marquis Valentino raised his head. Rather than the fact that the same person worked on both swords, the remark about Salamander being the first was etched in his mind. That is the first one? His mouth went dry. The first and second. There was a huge difference. Even though Blaze was a great sword, collectors always put a lot of importance on the first. The reason was simple. The second would lose value once the third and fourth were made, but the fact that it was the first result made it more valuable. His heart raced. The desire he held was so strong. I really want it. Marquis Valentino had one iron rule. If the item was founded by a master craftsman, never disregard it. He didn't make the blunder of coveting the craftsman's items and instead took possession of items that the craftsman could make. Hendrik could be the person who made the sword. Knowing that what he was about to say would be disrespectful, Marquis Valentino had no choice but to speak carefully. I am being very careful here, but could you probably sell this sword to me? If you sell it, I will pay a fair price for it. I apologize, but this is not for sale. This is a gift, and I think Marquis Valentino will fully understand my feelings about not wanting to sell this item as a collector yourself. A gift? His expression changed. He showed disappointment at the refusal and was shocked to hear that it was a gift. Hendrik didn't make this sword. If he got this as a gift, then he must know the identity of the person who made it. He was sure. If he couldn't buy the sword, he at least wanted to find the true owner. Then, may I ask who made the sword? Marquis Valentino's question was what Hendrik was waiting for. From the moment he witnessed Roman making the sword, Hendrik had this unknown itch to let the world know that Dimitri's firstborn son was a great craftsman. And the right person appeared on time. Marquis Valentino appeared to be the best person to do that. Marquis Valentino. Who do you think made this sword in Dimitri? Not Baron Romero? No. Huh? He smiled. Hendrik shocked Marquis Valentino, who longed to know the truth. The eldest son of the Dimitri family, Roman Dimitri, is the person who created the two swords. He was speechless. Is this what it's like to be shocked? Marquis Valentino felt so lost by what he heard that he couldn't say anything for a while. Roman Dimitri made Salamander and Blaze? It was so shocking. The two swords and the artistic work. He could understand if it was the work of people like Baron Romero and Hendrik, who had spent their entire lives in the forge, but he couldn't accept that it was the work of Roman, who was in his mid-20s. But it was evident in his work. There are various types of geniuses in the world, but at least in the realm of artisans who create things, experience and effort are required. This made no sense. How could someone in his mid-20s make such perfect work? Moreover, Roman Dmitri is a genius swordsman. And rumor has it that he defeated Butler, a ranker in the Hector kingdom, Cairo's greatest genius, and probably a greater swordsman in the future. And if this is true, clench. He clenched his fist. He thought about it. The youngest ranker in the continent. The mere result deserves high praise, but the title of craftsman is a modifier. This is terrific. From the result of the work to the story it had, his heart raced, and he wanted to move quickly. Everyone's work has an important story. If the person who made the sword were simply an unknown craftsman, it would only be a result, but if it were made by Hendrik, it could be called exclusive. But what if, unexpectedly, the best swordsman makes it? People will give these swords special meaning, and people will want to buy both of them, as they are extremely rare. Blaze. It was more than a treasure. People said the winning bid was too high, but when he realized its true value, it felt like a penny. His eyes blazed as he fell in love. Roman Dmitri. He wanted to meet him. He wondered how the best swordsman created the best sword. He jumped up. I think I will have to meet Roman Dmitri in person. After 1 month of this unrequited love, it was finally time to meet him in person. Chapter 150. Greedy Collector. Part 2. At that time, a training session was taking place at Dimitri's training hall. Tack. It was Chris. Chris, who was watching his opponent with focused eyes, tried to attack with his lightning-fast movement. Swish. The attack was missed. Chris's attack was so fast that it was hard to see, but Roman let the opponent come and move with precise timing. Yet Chris wasn't too shocked. As if he had expected this, he blocked Roman's retreat by using linked attacks. A sharp attack. The soldiers watching held their breaths, and Chris, who had been continuously attacking, saw an opportunity in an instant. Right now. At that moment. Swish. Suddenly, Roman came forward. The timing that he thought was perfect, a single counterattack, messed up Chris's breathing, and he got pushed back until he fell to the ground. Your aim was good, Chris. There was nothing wrong with the process of predicting the attack of your opponent and cornering your opponent for a counterattack. The problem is your timing on when you do it. During the momentary burst of power in your attacks, gaps between your attacks will occur. It is a problem that cannot be solved by ordinary means. If your opponent is strong enough to break through that, then you need to have another hit to bring him down. I will keep that in mind. There was no resentment. It was a natural result. Roman never wavered in the face of the attacks, so Chris went ahead and attacked him. The failure gave him experience. Roman Dmitri showed Chris how a stronger opponent could hit him back, and Chris showed no signs of shame as he stumbled down. The other soldiers did the same. People praised Chris and the other soldiers for their performance on the Southern Front and their achievements there and in the tournament, but no matter how much they were praised, they didn't lose their confidence in front of Roman. Out of this world. Roman had an overwhelming presence in their eyes. Those who followed such an existence didn't dare to show a lazy and careless attitude. Next. The training continued after Chris, Kevin, McBurney, Henderson, and others. And they all collapsed afterwards. Sparring with Roman was a part of their daily training, and no one could defeat him. Still, they fought hard. They knew that the more they fought against Roman, the stronger they became, and they learned a lot from it. Dimitri's training hall was stained with rough-breathing men. And when the long training was done, Hans, who was waiting in the distance, approached. Young master. We have a guest. Guide me. The guest. He knew who it was. When Roman shifted his gaze, he looked at Marquis Valentino, who was waiting. The wait was long. Marquis Valentino waited for 2 hours, but during that time, he wasn't truly bored. Is this the class of Roman Dimitri? Chris and the others, no one was mediocre here. They proved their skills in the tournament, and each of them showed their ability to hold a strong position in a noble family, especially Chris. He was overwhelming. He was moving so fast that his eyes couldn't keep up, and he thought that Chris could even take control of the Northeast. Yet he wasn't a rival for Roman. The strong presence of the swordsman faded away like nothing when they were in front of Roman. There is a topic that is getting much attention in Cairo. Roman Dimitri defeated the second-place ranker of the Hector Kingdom. People are skeptical and have suggested that he must have been lucky enough to get the chance to take down Butler, but Roman, whom I witnessed now, isn't someone to be underestimated. A presence that can defeat even talented people like Chris. He possesses more overwhelming skills than the public knows of. His heart was beating fast, and if it weren't for his outstanding presence, Marquis Valentino wouldn't have been so excited. He is the greatest talent of Cairo, and the sword he made is with me. It was such a great sign. At the thought of meeting such a person, he was thrilled, as if he would meet a beautiful woman, and he walked to the waiting room. Leaving behind the name of Marquis Valentino, he wanted to look good as one human to another. I am Roman Dimitri. And he is here. Roman approached him and extended his hands. At that moment, it felt like his heart would explode inside of him. Thinking about the great sword he made with these hands, Marquis Valentino wiped his sweaty hands on his pants and held Roman's hands. I am Marquis Valentino. Please sit down. Thank you. Such a strange atmosphere. The two of them were meeting for the first time today, but the room seemed to be heating up due to Marquis Valentino's eyes. Marquis Valentino could hardly hide his emotions. It was his first meeting with Roman Dimitri, but he had already felt a connection with him. And he said, "The reason I came to Mr. Roman is because of Blaze. I think you know what Blaze is. I was surprised to find such a great treasure at the auction house, and I made sure to get it. To be honest, I'd been to many places to find out who made it. And today, I came to Dimitri as my final destination." His voice was slightly high. People said Marquis Valentino had too much hope and too many wishes for a collector. His feelings were pure and genuine, and that was why he didn't assert his power here. "Mr. Roman, are you really the one who made Blaze?" He asked straight out, his eyes full of longing. It was quite an odd situation. He never expected that his intention to find out the value of the sword would lead him here. People call him the greedy collector. Blaze was auctioned off anonymously. He tried to hide his identity in the hope that the value of his name would not have a greater impact on the value of the sword. Grr. You are right. There was no reason to hide it now. The statement he was waiting for came, and Marquis Valentino couldn't hold back his joy anymore. Marquis Valentino. No one in Cairo didn't know him. Aside from his title as greedy collector, he was always mentioned when the power system in Cairo was explained. He has the most power among the neutral forces. There were 4 sides: the royalists, nobles, Kronos, and Valhalla. They shared the power in the Cairo kingdom, and each of them always wanted to be the one with the upper hand. In the process, Marquis Valentino received quite an attractive offer. His financial power took control over Cairo's local businesses, and he held the power to upset the power dynamics, but he showed his stubbornness by staying neutral all these years. He said, "I am not interested in power. No matter who is in power, I want the Valentino family to always be in the same position." He made a clever choice. Everything he does is bound to turn into a battle the moment he firmly supports one side. So he stayed neutral. He covered his eyes and stayed silent. Whatever Cairo did or didn't do, he made money and only focused on his hobbies. He was a key figure in Cairo. He was someone who was strong. And such a great person reacted like a girl to Roman's words. As I thought. Mr. Roman is the owner of Blaze. What an honor. You don't know how much I wanted to meet you. The first time I saw Blaze at the auction house, it felt like I was hit by lightning. How did you make such a famous sword? Dimitri has always been called the Holy Land for blacksmiths. Did you get this from your father's amazing bloodline? Questions followed questions. There were no malicious intentions. He just wanted to meet the owner, who turned out to be Roman, and he looked at Roman's sword. If it isn't too rude, can I please take a look at your sword? Asking to see his sword. If they were on a battlefield, it wouldn't be allowed. However, Roman handed him his sword. It wasn't to show trust but to understand Marquis Valentino's intention. And he took the sword. Gulp. Marquis Valentino gulped. As if accepting some huge treasure, he carefully touched the sword and checked it out. This is... He was shocked. Blaze and Salamander, they were great swords. That alone made him respect Roman, but this... Darkness was on a whole different level. It was a heavy sword that seemed to hold darkness. The eyes of the Marquis, who had witnessed numerous famous swords, recognized the true value of darkness at once. Roman Dimitri was a great craftsman. It wasn't something like a flame cooling down to display the result, but it was a gradual development. The first sword Salamander. The second Blaze. The third Darkness. Every time a new sword is made, there is rapid growth that can be noticed. If Roman Dimitri is called the greatest genius of all time as a swordsman, it should be the same as a blacksmith. How much greater will the swords he creates in the future be? And if Roman Dimitri continues to gain fame, the swords he creates will become extremely valuable. This was a shock. Blaze. People thought he spent too much on a sword. He wasn't sure what it was, but when he saw darkness, Marquis Valentino felt like he saw the future. Roman Dimitri was going to be the best swordsman and craftsman in the world. Tack. He placed the sword down and looked at Roman with a serious face. Even if I asked you to sell this sword, I doubt you would agree. Which is why I will say this, could you please grant me a special request? The special request had two conditions. First, if you're going to sell the sword, give me a chance to obtain it. A personal desire. If Roman would let go of darkness as he did with Blaze, then Marquis Valentino wanted to be the one to get it. Second, please let me know if a new sword is made. No, if possible, I would like to see the swords you've made. The place and time don't matter. Be it in Dimitri, some faraway nation, or a remote area that doesn't allow humans. If Mr. Roman allows it, I'd like to come and check the state of the swords. His eyes gleamed with longing. But Roman didn't answer him. Marquis Valentino, Cairo's business tycoon, was burning. Rather than asking questions to know his intentions, Roman waited for him to spill them. If you promise me two things, the Valentino family will support Dimitri in the future. Those words were more than he expected. He made a statement about giving up his neutral position simply because he was a collector. It was fun. Roman looked into Marquis Valentino's eyes. Do you really know what that means? Of course I do. The Valentino family has maintained a neutral position. Thanks to that, there were no problems when running the guild, and people ended up calling us the most wealthy family. Then why support Dimitri? I don't think this is just a desire to collect. To meet your desires, your family will have to make too many sacrifices. A neutral force taking a side. Even if the opponents weren't the four factions, this would be inconvenient for those in power in Cairo. Marquis Valentino said. I will be honest. Actually, the four factions have been putting pressure on us. In a situation where the power struggle in Cairo is turning intense, we cannot hold on to the neutral position anymore. So I was pondering which side to support. Would I prefer the nobles or Kronos or Valhalla? When I was deep in thought, I overheard the rumors about Roman Dimitri. They say you defeated the Lords of the North and established the Dimitri alliance. His request wasn't something he decided on the spot. Until meeting Roman, he calculated the profit and loss. People call me a greedy collector. I pay a fair price for good things of value, but I am not limited to that alone. I like investing in people. When a person who is still undervalued develops and achieves something, it gives me tremendous pleasure. Roman Dmitri and his unexpected actions. People only paid attention to how he defeated his enemies, but he noticed the leadership he showed. And the Dmitri alliance. Dmitri, who was in a neutral position like him, also showed their intention to change. Of the four factions, there is none that follows. But with Roman, it is a different story. Seeing how you took control of the Northeast, which was a mess, I decided that Mr. Roman leading Dmitri is worth investing in. Furthermore, I even confirmed that you are the one who made Blaze, so why wouldn't I like you? Dmitri has a lot of money. Is there any reason to accept the Valentino family as an ally when the central government will keep checking on us? Marquis Valentino knew that the other person had no intention of following the trend, and he had the courage to act unconventionally. Amazing. The richest man in Cairo. He wasn't as he expected. I am very aware of how much wealth Dmitri has. But, Marquis Valentino smiled. Isn't it better to have more money? I am not asking for much. If we can build a relationship with Roman, then as long as Valentino is alive and in Cairo, we will do anything for Dmitri. The collector's instinct, the sense that brought Marquis Valentino to his current position, desired Roman Dmitri. Chapter 151. Greedy Collector. Part 3. Marquis Valentino was quite an interesting person. Despite the fact that Dmitri was still a marginal force, he boldly chose to side with them. The four factions of Cairo. It was clear that they would show dissatisfaction with Marquis Valentino's decision. When he was a neutral force, they had no reason to attack him directly, but now they probably will. It was a foolish choice to make. If he had followed the nobles of Marquis Benedict, he would have already held amazing power in his hands, but he abandoned such a stable choice for this gamble. There was no reason to refuse him. In a situation where a strong ally was joining him, Roman showed a calm reaction. I admit that if Valentino supports Dmitri, we can rise to a new power. However, Roman didn't just accept it all because it was beneficial for him. There were clear standards that Valentino had to meet. But, as you know, Dmitri has no close relationships. If the Dmitri family has yet to accomplish anything, Valentino's support will almost certainly grant us equal status, regardless of what happens later. I do not like that. The Dmitri alliance. The nobles in the northeast region didn't support Dmitri without a reason, and they all pledged their loyalty to stay with me. He looked straight into Marquis Valentino's eyes. Roman didn't want the power system he built to crumble, no matter how well-known the opponent was or what benefit was offered. Dmitri doesn't need the help of anyone. We have the power and ability to solve problems, and in the process of forming the Dmitri alliance and moving forward, all we need is the loyalty of the people. Let me ask you one thing, then. Can the Valentino family follow Dmitri? Are you ready to do anything for the Dmitri family instead of just standing on the sidelines? He asked him back. Valentino and Dmitri. Valentino had a great reputation that everyone knew about. And having them support Dmitri was incredible, but Roman was not the type to be satisfied with that. What? What was the source of his confidence? Marquis Valentino's eyes shuddered as he looked at Roman. Roman Dmitri doesn't care about the four factions within Cairo. If he turns down the offer, there will be trouble, but Roman doesn't seem to be afraid of anything. Is it because he is young? No, that cannot be. The hero of Cairo, who has led Dmitri to control the northeast region at once and made remarkable contributions in the war against the Hector kingdom, he is something more than we see. Sigh. Laugh. What was the most important thing for a collector? The rarity of an object. The empires that ruled the continent might have had a lot of talented people, but this man here was the type of person who couldn't be found in a weak nation like Cairo. I am very attracted to Roman Dmitri. He felt his heart tremble. At first, he wasn't that interested in power. As long as Valentino stayed alive and rich, it didn't matter what was happening around him. So he had to be the best. The opponent. Even if he was from a commoner-born baron family. Let me take this chance to clarify my words. If you accept my offer, Valentino will follow Dmitri. Even if we have to hold on to the last straw or jump into the pits of hell, if it is an order from you, I will smile and follow. It was an unusual choice for Valentino to make. Even though he made a choice that most people wouldn't make, Roman calmly accepted the loyalty of the Valentino family. Baek Jung-hyuk was used to loyal people. He had confidence in himself and did not consider Valentino as some higher noble. I wish us well in the future. That was all. Even if this would cause a mess in the outside world, it could be dealt with in time. The meeting of the two families formed an unexpected connection. As it came to a warm end, Marquis Valentino asked one last question. May I go back home and reveal that the person who made Blaze is Roman Dmitri? I have received such a great sword that I don't think I can hold myself back from boasting about it. It was definite. Marquis Valentino was quite a unique human. Greedy collector. As much as he had a great collection, he loved showing them off too. He invited the nobles who lived near the capital to have a simple tea gathering, and when the atmosphere seemed nice, he subtly showed off Blaze. Oh. Is this that amazing sword? All the eyes of the nobles shone at Blaze. Blaze's reputation was quite high among the nobles, as the bid was known to have been won with a huge amount of money. A sword that amplified the aura's abilities. It was a skill that would make any person gape at the mere rumors, and the fact that it was a sword obtained by the greedy collector ensured its quality. Marquis Valentino said. Ahem. I don't know what rumors everyone has heard, but this sword is more than just the rumors. I recently conducted a simple experiment with a subordinate of mine. A 1-star swordsman wielded Blaze against a 2-star swordsman, and surprisingly, the 1-star swordsman managed to block the 2-star swordsman. For real? Have I ever lied about the things I collected? Furthermore, he lowered his voice, and his lips were twitching in enjoyment. The identity of the craftsman who created Blaze is Roman Dmitri, the hero of Cairo, who has defeated the Hector kingdom, and the eldest son of the Dmitri family, the blacksmith family. He made Blaze. What? You mean this is Roman Dmitri's sword? Yes. Roman Dmitri made 3 swords in his lifetime, and Blaze is the second of them. And when he went to war against the Hector kingdom, Roman Dmitri used Blaze to defeat Butler. Isn't that amazing? I only looked at the sword's quality to determine its worth, but the true value of the sword is quite different, right? Roman Dmitri is a talented person who will become the best swordsman in Cairo in the future, and the sword that he created will be the greatest treasure. Everyone was shocked. Only then did they realize that, while the amount of money bet by Marquis Valentino was small, the sword's value would skyrocket in the future. Their eyes admired it at first, but now they were stained with envy. Aside from its current value, they were envious of the fact that Roman had only made 3 swords, and this was one of them. Rumors spread fast about Valentino's sword and that Roman Dmitri made it. People praised the sword's performance and exclaimed in admiration for the story it held. The value of the sword rose to the heavens. And that wasn't all. When people doubted the ability of the sword, Marquis Valentino called craftsmen to display its features. This sword is a lot greater than the rumors. I have seen many famous swords in my life, but I have never seen a sword accept mana in this manner. To be honest, if I had the money, I would definitely want to buy this. The words of the craftsman put an end to all the doubts. People now paid attention to the swords made by Roman, and started calling the 3 swords the Roman Dmitri collection. And those rumors brought about unexpected results. In the forge of Dmitri, it was a busy day. It was normal for them to receive a large number of orders, but with rumors about Roman circulating, the number of orders increased. You want to buy the sword of young Master Roman? It is impossible. Young Master Roman does not sell swords. It is possible for us to process orders for up to 100 people, but you will have to wait for at least a month due to the backlog right now. I apologize. Dmitri has a lot of blacksmiths, but right now, we cannot process the orders quickly. At first, they asked about Roman's sword. Naturally, in a situation where they were rejected, they decided to just submit a production request to the Dmitri family. Roman Dmitri, the creator of the treasured sword. Wasn't this his family's business? Even if it wasn't, Dmitri was well known in the nation for their blacksmiths, and as a result, trust in them grew. And the Dmitri family didn't disappoint their clients. More orders were placed after people who had received the best quality equipment spoke up. The fire in the furnace never stopped. The blacksmiths had no time to rest, and they enjoyed the greatest financial boom in Dmitri's history. And that fact was reported to Baron Romero. This is the situation. Thanks to young Master Roman's name, we have processed more than half of the year's orders. It was Hendrik. His expression was bright. The prosperity of the forge was welcomed by all the blacksmiths, and he was genuinely happy that people recognized Roman's worth. Hwahahaha. Everyone wants to covet my son's sword. Baron Romero also laughed loudly. His reputation as a swordsman was surely amazing, and he was happy. His son's success was, of course, a delight to his mind and heart, but this made him feel even better. Roman, Rodwell, and Lauren. My sons followed me in and out of the forge at a young age, but none of them took it so seriously. In fact, I thought it would happen. I grew up in a forge and worked there my whole life, but they were born into noble families and had a different life than I did. And now Roman has made a sword that the Cairo kingdom admires. This makes me happy. He had 3 sons, and the eldest one, whom he considered his successor, was now being accepted everywhere. When his eldest son revealed his talent as a blacksmith, Baron Romero couldn't help but be genuinely happy. Yes. Young Master Roman was born with the talent to lead. You think so? Ha ha ha. The issue of succession. Roman was someone he had a lot of trouble with. Roman had lost the lead due to the mess he was in a couple of years ago, but now he had no more doubts about him. He was sure of it. Roman Dmitri was the perfect heir to the Dmitri family. When the world was buzzing, Roman met an unexpected visitor. Long time no see. It was McKean, a member of the Valhalla intelligence. He, who had previously offered a chance to recruit Roman, reappeared after a long time. What is this? Recently, we have been receiving rumors about Mr. Roman. You are amazing. Defeating the Hector kingdom wasn't enough. You even defeated Butler. I thought I knew you already, Roman Dmitri. But we also seem to have underestimated you. The Valhalla Empire. They have been uncomfortable lately. The fact that Roman Dmitri was a 4-star swordsman was no secret, and all 4 factions in Cairo were actively moving. In particular, Marquis Benedict was quite active. Seeing that he was ready to give up his daughter, whom he treasured so much, for marriage, Valhalla decided that they had to get Roman now. And if we could, we would give Mr. Roman time to think it over. But we changed our minds after seeing the Dmitri alliance being formed in the northeast. What are you thinking? Do you intend to form a different faction in Cairo? The Dmitri alliance. Rumors couldn't be suppressed. Eventually, it reached Valhalla's ears, and they thought they could not give him any more time. The leaders of Valhalla are suspicious of Roman Dmitri's intentions behind this. Because of the possibility that you would swear allegiance to Valhalla, the Dmitri family has faced no threats until now. If you have other intentions, we want a definite answer. If you want to remain a member of Cairo and not Valhalla, the Valhalla Empire will not leave loose ends. His eyes were sharp. The favor was gone. His eyes were full of killing intent, and he didn't smile. The Dmitri alliance blew the fuse. The power system, which had been intertwined around Roman Dmitri, showed signs of beginning to collapse. Choose. Will you follow Valhalla, or will you stay as our enemy? It was one-sided. The moment the offer was declined, the favor turned to hostility. But Keek. Roman leaned back on the chair and looked at McKean. Roman showed a cold expression. I see what you mean, but why should I stick with the choices you give? Chapter 152. Greedy Collector. Part 4. The atmosphere was chilly and cold. At the explicit refusal and the somewhat aggressive response, McKean said, "Those words. Should I accept them as hostility?" After all, the Cairo kingdom was a weak nation. And within that small nation, there were 4 factions fighting one another. The same went for Roman Dmitri. He was highly regarded because he defeated Butler in his mid-20s, but he lacked the strength to overcome the nation's powerhouses. Roman's answer was important. And the Valhalla Empire had the power to trample on a being like Roman. Speak clearly. From the moment you threaten me, I have no intention of being nice to you. His voice was firm. Roman looked at the man in front of him. Even though the opponent showed such bloody intentions, neither his body nor his eyes were shaking. The Valhalla Empire. It isn't that I don't know how strong you are, but I have no intention of being forced into allegiance to anyone, even if you point a sword at me. Do you want to accept this as hostility? Do whatever you want. Either instigate the central government to attack Dmitri or summon your warriors in Valhalla to assassinate me. No threat can force the answer from me. The Valhalla Empire was strong. But Roman knew that even the Valhalla Empire had its limits. The Cairo kingdom is the prey that the Kronos Empire has worked hard for. If Valhalla attacked Cairo now, Kronos wouldn't stand still. In the end, the fight in Cairo will end in internal strife. And the power of Dmitri now cannot be threatened by the central government alone. Things weren't so simple when it came to dealing with the Dmitri alliance. When the central government decides to punish them, it would require them to take power from the surrounding estates, but all the forces in the northeast followed Dmitri. And Count Denver, who followed Valhalla. Even if he raised his voice and said Dmitri should be punished, the central government would not wage war because of threats from outside forces. The Kronos Empire was also holding back, and if a civil war broke out, Cairo would have no choice but to fall into an abyss. And the fall of Cairo means the rise of Kronos. Roman knew that by forming an alliance, he would hold the most important position. Valhalla has no way to attack me, not even once. There is no way that they would assassinate me by mobilizing the most powerful people in Valhalla, so this kind of threat won't work on me. He received numerous assassination threats during the days he lived as Baek Jin-hyuk. No matter what kind of assassination was attempted, Roman was sure that he wouldn't even have to blink an eye. Roman said, "If you do not intend to be my enemies, Valhalla only has one option to choose. And that is to wait. I, Roman Dmitri, do not want to be a parasite on someone else's power. The moment I make a choice, the force will surely rise to the pinnacle of Cairo, and the people will call the Dmitri family a kingmaker. That is what I hope for." He gave them a reason to shut their mouths and wait for his choice. Despite the threats from the Valhalla Empire, Roman came out strong. The world didn't know of the union between Dmitri and Valentino. But Dmitri's power on its own was enough to make a bold move against the Valhalla Empire. "You are acting so bold." McKean's face hardened, as he didn't like this situation. Roman's attitude was clearly crossing the line, but he couldn't attack Roman. After the war with Hector and the unification of the Northeast, he knew Dmitri was now untouchable. "I have to take a step back. But if he continues to show the same attitude as now, then we will have to make a decision." McKean said, "If you act all stiff with that neck, it will break one day. Roman Dmitri, make sure to keep these words in your mind. We are stepping back not because you are strong but because we are giving you time. You are no threat to the Valhalla Empire. The continent is huge, and keep in mind that Butler, whom you fought, is a base level of power in Valhalla, so make a decision after carefully considering everything. If you decide the same, then I will show you just how pointless your sandcastles are." He gave a warning and backed down. Then McKean stood up and began to leave. Starting with Valhalla, calls came from all factions in Cairo. They knew about the existence of the Dmitri alliance, and every one of them urged him to make a decision. Some were trying to appease him, and some gave him threats. And when the powerhouses in Cairo were quickly making their moves, Roman stood his ground. Currently, I have a lot of things to do in Dmitri. Exactly 1 year later, after finishing the work in Dmitri, I plan to move to the capital and challenge the public ranking. And if everything is done, at the same time, I will reveal my decision. 1 year. They didn't want to wait. All 4 factions were already feeling like they had been betrayed by Roman, whom they wanted to decide right then. The leader of the nobility, Marquis Benedict, didn't like Roman's one-sided talks, and, like Valhalla, he couldn't do anything. "Will you leave the Dmitri family alone?" a subordinate asked him. Marquis Benedict fixed his gaze on the papers in front of him. "We have no other choice but to wait. Our chance might have been after the war with Hector, but after that, Roman Dmitri returned to his home and made the most unconventional move to unite the forces. What an evil-minded boy." From the moment the Northeast, which rebelled against Dmitri, surrendered to him, the Dmitri family turned into something that even the central government couldn't touch. To be precise, if we do touch them, the balance of power will collapse. But this is risky. Give Dmitri time and they will expand further. I know. Tack. Marquis Benedict turned over the papers, and he looked at his subordinate. He did not become the leader of the noble faction by chance. Let us face the reality. We cannot gain benefits if we antagonize Dmitri, so it is better to pin our hopes on a better chance. Surely, the royal family has no choice but to disapprove of Roman Dmitri's actions. Unlike them, we will stand by Roman Dmitri until the end and treat him well so that he can trust me. Even if the price for waiting ends up in betrayal, Roman Dmitri is worth putting everything on the line. The hero of Cairo. He was someone everyone would want to covet. He also wanted to have the man and decided to make a bold move. If only Roman Dmitri would choose me. I won't make an issue of what happened all this time. But... His voice lowered. Blind loyalty. It was something that could lead to betrayal too. If the route he would take is different from mine, then I will make sure he pays the price. Just 1 year. That was the longest time he could wait. At that time, Roman was reading a letter in the library. Brother. I've never been happy about being at the academy all this time. But ever since you visited me, my life has completely changed. The kids who were afraid of the Castor family began to approach me as friends, and my sword skills developed rapidly as I worked hard on what brother taught me. Not too long ago, I even heard a compliment from our swordsmanship teacher that I might be a genius. Thank you very much. As your younger brother, I did nothing for you, but brother gave me so much. There is nothing I can do for you right now, but I will live my life step by step and repay the favor I received from you. It was Lauren Dmitri. At the sincere letter, Roman smiled. Brothers, huh? This isn't so bad. This life was different from the previous one. He had no reason or intention to fight with his brothers now. The fact that they could exchange such warm greetings while being siblings was special for Roman. I need to get stronger in a year. Many people were now involved in Roman's plan. He was no longer alone and could no longer accept defeat. Using the power system is now at its limit. The King's faction, the Noble faction, the Kronos Empire, and the Valhalla Empire. These 4 forces are dividing the nation and will not wait for me. So, in this 1 year, if I don't make use of this time in a good manner, I will lose everything in the war against them. He couldn't falter now. His family, subordinates, and maybe his own life could come to an end. Whatever it was, he wouldn't let it stop him. Living his new life, Roman had many hopes, and like in his previous life, he wanted to rise to the supreme position without having to lose anything. And unlike in his previous life, Roman Dmitri, who lived as Byok Jung-hyuk, now had the power to be greedy. When the war really starts, there won't be any time to look back. The mid-state of the heavenly demon sword would not be enough. Although it worked against Butler, Roman wanted something more overwhelming. He had 1 year to make progress. He would have to work harder than before and prepare for another thing in the future. Edwin Hector. I never know when I will come across a magician like him again. To respond perfectly to whatever variables arise, I must first understand magicians. Even if a magician more powerful than Edwin Hector comes, I need to be able to behead them to accomplish my goal. At a time when he had nothing to lose, Baek Jung-hyuk struggled to survive. And now, with so much at stake, Roman Dmitri has shown a stronger will than ever. 3 months have passed since then. There were 13 magic towers on the continent, and Phoenix was the weakest of them all. And they had a problem that plagued them. The heir to Phoenix, Felix, sighed. There was a magic society. It was hosted by the vast Heavens Magic Tower, and it was a place where the representatives of each magic tower would prove their achievements. The problem was that it was Phoenix's turn, and even though Felix showed off a powerful 5-circle magic at the age of 30, all the other magicians looked at him with cold eyes. Felix's magic was common. There were widely known magics, and the Phoenix Magic Tower's identity did not appear to be particularly unique. It seems to be true that the Phoenix Magic Tower has lost the magic books that have been handed down for generations. 3 years ago, Felix's teacher and the Magic Tower Master had gone missing. As a result, Felix took on the role of acting master. But the problem was that he completely lost the power his position held, as he didn't inherit the magic books of the Magic Tower called Burning. Even if it weren't so, the power of their magic tower was weak. It came to the point that their tower fell, and their magicians were leaving every day. The magician's world was cold. Since the vast Heaven Magic Tower was known to possess the best magic in the world, there was no reason to stay humble towards the Phoenix magicians who lost their own technique. It would die in an instant. The words spoke of an unknown future. Usually, the Magic Tower borrows some land with support from the nation. However, since their master's disappearance, Felix has been passively supporting the magicians. It felt shocking. At first, he acted as if he would give up any body organ for the Magic Tower, but now, it just looks like a nuisance to everyone. The Magic Tower and the kingdom were mutually beneficial. The Magic Tower provides living conditions, and the kingdom could borrow the power of the Magic Tower in emergencies. As the days go by, my worries continue to grow. Felix got a letter. The conditions are simple. For the next 6 months, if you become my opponent, I will reward you 1,000 gold each month. It was an unusual request, but the 1,000 gold made it worth considering. And wasn't the Magic Tower in a bad situation now? Then he couldn't refuse this request. Frank was a nation in the southwest of the continent. It was a long journey to get such letters, and no one in such distant lands ever gets such a request. It's the farthest end, the northeast. So far. On that day, Felix packed up and headed for his destination. The place was Dmitri in the Cairo kingdom.